Sydney, Australia. The authorities in Papua New Guinea confronted asylum seekers on Thursday inside a controversial detention centre on Manus Island, ordering hundreds of detainees to leave and destroying their belongings in an attempt to end a standoff at the camp that has drawn international scrutiny to Australia's offshore detention policy. Around 7 a.m. local time, detainees said, PNG. Security forces stormed the former refugee camp and began tearing through the men's shelters and makeshift water tanks, before announcing on a loudspeaker that the men had to leave for alternative facilities on the island. "They've destroyed everything, our belongings, our shelters, our rooms and beds," said Behrouz Bouchei, a Kurdish asylum seeker and journalist in the center. "They said, you must leave this prison camp." Mr. Bouchei said the authorities were confiscating mobile phones, after a number of refugees photographed and filmed the episode, making it available to international news media outlets. "At this moment that I am talking with you, I am in the toilet," said Mr. Bouchei, who has regularly posted Twitter messages and written stories from the camp. "If I go outside, they'll take my phone. It's possible that if I go out, they'll arrest me. I am only worried that I won't be able to write and tweet." The authorities did not immediately evict the men, but the aggressive campaign, confirmed by Australia's immigration minister, represented an escalation of the conflict. It comes 3 weeks after Australia officially closed the camp on October 31, cutting off electricity, food and water as hundreds of detainees refused to leave. Since 2013, Australia has paid Ibarig Papua New Guinea to shelter migrants trying to reach Australia. Their defiance was partly an act of protest, but it was also motivated by complaints that alternative facilities were not ready, and because many of the men feared that they would be attacked or intimidated by local residents who have resisted Australia's attempt to move the men closer to the island's largest city, Logor. On Thursday, Australia's immigration minister, Peter Dutton, accused the detainees of ruining the detention centre and wasting Australian taxpayer money. "I think it's outrageous that people are still there," he told 2GB Radio. "They've trashed the facility, they are living in squalor." He compared the situation to building a new house for tenants who then refuse to move in. "The Australian taxpayers have paid about $10 million for a new facility and we want people to move," he said. Advocates for the detainees have questioned Mr. Dutton's assessment, noting that photographic evidence has repeatedly shown that the alternative facilities are not ready, despite his claims that they were operational and adequate. "I find it very hard to believe anything that the immigration minister is saying at this stage. That's based on the fact that I was at the camp on Manus Island last week," said Jennifer Vero, Director of Advocacy at the Asylum Seeker Resource Centre. "The only thing that's making these men live in these conditions is the destruction that's been brought on them by authorities."